You think you've had a bad day? Imagine waking up every single morning inside a one-room mud hut, sharing your sleeping space with your goats, your pigs, your chickens, and your entire family. No running water, no soap, no toothbrush. The same clothes you wore yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. Your teeth are rotting out of your skull, your skin is crusted with layers of dirt so thick it's practically armor, and the person sleeping 3 inches away from you smells exactly the same. That was not the worst day of a medieval peasant's life. That was just Tuesday. Welcome back to History Veil, the channel that pulls back the curtain on history's most uncomfortable truths. I'm glad you're here because today we are going places most history channels don't have the stomach to go. We are talking about the absolute horrifying, stomach-turning reality of hygiene in the Middle Ages. And I promise you, whatever you think you already know, and this is so much worse. Let's start with something simple. Water. We take it for granted every single second of every day. You turn a tap, clean water flows out, life is good. Now imagine that the only water available to you is a river that your neighbor upstream just dumped their chamber pot into this morning. That is not an exaggeration. That was daily life for the average medieval peasant. Most villages centered around a single water source, a well, a stream, a river, and that same water source was used for drinking, cooking, washing clothes, and disposing of waste. All of it. The same water. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid. These weren't just occasional tragedies in medieval Europe. They were practically a background hum of existence. People died from the water. And the terrifying part? They had no idea why. Now here's something that will genuinely surprise you. Medieval peasants did not bathe the way you might assume, meaning they didn't avoid it entirely out of laziness or ignorance. Many peasants did wash. They wiped down their faces and hands regularly. They occasionally used wooden tubs filled with heated water for a more thorough scrub. But here's the nightmare detail nobody talks about. In a household, everyone used the same water. The head of the family bathed first, then the wife, then the children, going from oldest to youngest until finally the baby went in. By the time that baby hit the water, it was so dark and thick with grime that there's an actual historical theory this is where the phrase, "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," came from. People genuinely could not see the infant through the filth. And soap? It existed, technically, but it was expensive, it was rough, it was made from animal fat and wood ash, and the average peasant family might have had a tiny, precious sliver of it that had to last for months. You didn't lather up freely, you rationed it like gold. Let's talk about teeth, because this is where things get genuinely painful. Medieval peasants had no toothbrushes. Some people chewed on twigs, hazel and neem branches were somewhat common, and there was a rudimentary awareness that rubbing salt or chalk on your teeth could help. But dental decay was rampant and relentless. The peasant diet, heavy and rough grains, and whatever scraps of sugar could be found, destroyed teeth from a young age. Abscesses were common. Infections from rotten teeth didn't just cause pain, they spread. A tooth infection could travel to the jaw, then to the brain, and kill a person. Historians have found medieval skeletal remains where you can see the bone damage from untreated dental infections so severe they ate through the jaw entirely. People died from toothaches. Let that settle in for a second. But the real horror, the part of medieval hygiene that most people genuinely don't process, is what they lived with every single day on their bodies. Head lice were essentially universal. Not occasional, not something shameful, universal. Archaeologists excavating medieval sites across Europe consistently find lice combs because everybody needed one. The wealthy had elaborate ivory combs. The poor used carved wood. But everyone combed because everyone had lice. Body lice too, the kind that burrow into seams of clothing and live there, feeding on you while you sleep. Fleas were constant companions. Not the, "oh no, my dog has fleas" kind of inconvenience. The kind that carried bubonic plague across an entire continent and killed a third of Europe's population. Speaking of clothing, the average peasant owned maybe 2 sets of clothes. Maybe. One for working, one that was slightly less destroyed for other occasions. These clothes were washed infrequently, not because people were careless, but because washing was genuinely brutal labor. You had to haul water, heat it over a fire, scrub by hand, wring and dry, and in a northern European winter, drying clothes could take days, so you wore the same thing, layered over the same unwashed body week after week. The smell must have been something we simply cannot simulate in our modern brains. Historians who have studied the period describe it as a kind of baseline stench that everyone shared. Sweat, animal dung from the livestock living in or directly adjacent to the home, smoke from the fire that never really went out, and the particular smell of human bodies working hard with no relief. And let's not dance around what happened with human waste. There were no toilets. Wealthy households had garderobes, essentially holes in castle walls that dropped waste into a moat or pit below. Peasants had either a crude outhouse pit or, more commonly in colder months, a chamber pot that sat in the corner of the one-room home until morning. That same room where everyone slept, where food was prepared, where children played. The smell was simply part of life. Streets in medieval towns were notorious. Travelers from cleaner cultures documented the shock of walking through European villages and having to navigate rivers of waste running between buildings. In some towns, rakers were employed specifically to try and clear the streets of accumulating filth. They were fighting a losing battle. Here's something that really reframes the picture, though. And this is what separates great history from simple disgust tourism. These people were not ignorant savages. They were human beings doing the absolute best they could within systems and circumstances completely beyond their control. The medieval peasant who never bathed properly wasn't lazy. They worked from before sunrise to after sunset in fields, in cold, in rain, growing food that fed everyone, including the nobles, who never once thought about where their bread came from. They had no germ theory. They had no plumbing, they had no infrastructure. The tools and knowledge simply didn't exist. And in spite of all of it, they built communities, raised families, created art and music and tradition, and survived conditions that would flatten most of us within a week. There's also a fascinating layer to this story that almost nobody talks about. The medieval church actually had a complicated relationship with hygiene. On one hand, cleanliness was associated with moral virtue. On the other hand, some theologians warned against excessive bathing as vain or indulgent. Public bathhouses did exist in medieval Europe and were quite popular through much of the period. They were social spaces, gathering spots, almost like medieval spas. But as plague swept through in the mid-1300s, bathhouses became associated with disease transmission, which wasn't entirely wrong, and many closed. This collapse of public bathing infrastructure arguably made hygiene conditions worse for generations afterward. So next time you step into a hot shower with your shampoo and your soap and your clean towel waiting on the hook, take one extra second. Because somewhere back in the 14th century, a peasant woman was wiping down her children with a damp rag in a smoky, mud-walled room, doing everything she could with nothing at all. She deserves that second of recognition. This has been History Veil. If this episode hit different for you, if it made you think, made you uncomfortable, made you genuinely grateful for indoor plumbing, then you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss what we uncover next. We go where the history books won't. Drop in the comments. What piece of this shocked you the most? I read every single one. See you in the next one.